Hi there, and today I wanted to go over our listing contract. I think it's very important that you understand the terms of the listing contract, what you're signing, what this means. All of the forms that we're presenting to you for our transaction are legally binding contracts. So it's important that you understand everything on every section of this. So let me get rid of my picture here and make this screen bigger. So page one, of course, is going to have a contract date and an expiration date, who the listing broker is, so a listing office, the agent that's listing your house, the assigned agent within our team, supervisory brokers, and your name as the seller and your home address, which may be different than the house that you're selling, and that's perfectly fine. The agreement, in consideration of the agreement of brokerage firm to market seller's property and to use its best efforts to find a buyer, seller gives brokerage firm the exclusive right for sale and to sell a property for the listing period stated above. So exclusive right, like you're hiring us to sell your home. You're not going to list it with several different companies at the same time. You're not also going to list it for sale by owner on any websites. You are just exclusively hiring us to represent you and sell your property, basically. Um, Brokerage firm and seller hereby designate the agent listed above as the seller's designated agent. So one thing as far as contract law with real estate contracts like this, your listing actually belongs to the brokerage. The broker is the state licensed brokerage that lists your home, and then your designated agent is the salesperson within the brokerage that is going to be your main contact for selling your property. Section two, the actual property, where it's located, tax ID number, and all the inclusions. So, simply put, anything that's physically attached, screwed into the property would be considered something that goes with the property. So that would be built-in appliances like the dishwasher, lighting fixtures that are attached, plumbing fixtures, water softener if it's owned, heating fixtures, electrical fixtures, permanently attached generators, fuel tanks, antennas, satellite dishes, wired smart home devices. So this would include your Nest thermostat. So if you really want to take your thermostat with you to your new house, we do need to exclude that. Remote controls for any built-in devices like the garage remote. The garage remotes, even though they're not attached, they go with an attached piece of property. Attached TV mounting brackets. So this is a big one that people don't realize. The attached TV mounts in your wall are attached to the property. Your TV is hanging on the bracket. Your TV will go, but the TV mounting brackets must stay, again, unless you want to specifically exclude those. Attached mirrors. A lot of people have mirrors hanging on a hook on the walls. So if it's hanging on a hook with a string, then of course that's personal property. If it's screwed in, then it's attached. Attached shelving, window shades, and blinds. You get the point. But then again, if you do want to exclude something, but does not include, and this can say things like the Nest thermostat, for example, and we need to tell people that before they make an offer, there would be in the agent remarks in our MLS to, hey, tell your client that the Nest thermostat does not stay. You would fill in the year built and check whether or not this is required for lead-based paint disclosure, if it was built in 1978 or after, or before 1978. The price that you want for the house, that this will be the list price. The listing broker's compensation will be the percentage of the sales price, and what we call a protection period is a certain number of months after the expiration of the agreement. So, say for example, we do a 4-month contract on Dave, in the third month, in the second week, so 3.5 months in, we have someone that we show the property to, or someone on our team shows the property to, and they're just not ready to make a decision yet. But they come back 3 days after this expires, and we say, hey, that person that looked at it 2.5 weeks ago decided they want to make an offer, well, that would fall under the protection period that we would still move forward. If you still decided you wanted to sell anyway, that you would still allow us to represent you for that sale with that buyer that looked at it during the listing period. Buying broker's compensation, we have a few options here. So we do split up the compensation on the listing contract. So there's going to be a certain percentage that you're paying to the listing broker only. Then you can decide if you want to pay a buyer's broker. So seller agrees to pay the buyer broker a blank percentage of the sales price or a flat dollar amount. Uh, Option B, seller agrees to pay the buyer broker commission in the amount that is to be negotiated between the buyer and seller. So we can say, hey, I'm willing to pay a commission to the buyer's broker, but I don't want to set an amount yet, because if they don't give me a full price offer, then I'm not paying the regular full price commission that they would expect. So that's negotiable. Or C, you might say, hey, you know what? I only want to pay my listing broker. I don't want to pay a buyer's broker. So I'm not going to offer any buyer's broker compensation no matter what. So you can pick any one of these three, and your designated agent will discuss those options with you when you sign the contract. Section 7, participation in the multiple listing service. Simply put, that we're going to put this in the Realtor multiple listing service, which also syndicates it to dozens, if not hundreds, of real estate websites. All the big ones: Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com, Yahoo Real Estate. But we also do IDX sharing with all the brokerages. So there's 14,000 real estate agents in Michigan, probably 5 or 6,000 different real estate agent websites. So this will be on all of those as well. Title: seller represents the title of the property as a good and marketable title, and seller will execute and deliver a warranty deed. So basically, you'll sign a deed over to the new owner, or if you've agreed to do a land contract, which is very rare, but that's also an option. And seller will provide at seller's cost an owner's title insurance policy. So we're going to contract with a local title company to do a title search, make sure the property is free and clear of all liens, and you're going to buy title or insurance policy that protects you and the new owner from any future claims against the property that might arise. Um, some guy that did a roof 10 years ago never got paid for something like that. And he says, hey, you know what? I put a roof on here even before you bought it. I'm going to file a lien. Well, you never filed a lien that was recorded, so it's not valid. That's what title insurance is for. The default clause: the sale is not consummated. If the sale is not consummated because of seller's refusal to perform, then the total agreed upon compensation shall be due and payable upon such refusal. So this refusal would basically mean if we were literally 2 days before closing and you said, you know what, I've changed my mind. We've already secured a buyer. We've done our job as your listing broker, marketing the property and securing a buyer, and you just change your mind for some other reason that's not a contractual out in the contract, then yes, legally, again, this is a legally binding contract. Legally, you would be obligated to pay us some sort of compensation for our work up to that point. Marketing: you agree to let us photograph the property, publish pictures online, advertise the property, put a for sale sign in the yard, remove other for sale signs if you have a for sale by owner sign up, for example. And the use of such advertising will result in the contents of the property being made known to third parties. So, yeah, there's going to be pictures of your house online, inside and out, just so that you're aware of that. And these do go over to third-party marketing websites such as Zillow, Realtor.com, and Homes.com. Lockbox access: if you want us to use a lockbox for showing, we can hang a lockbox on your door. You can give us a key, and our team and other realtors can show your property. You may have a keypad on your door if you want to give us a temporary code for that, or you may just want to leave the door unlocked. That's fine as well. Section 12, if you are in a county required time of sale location that requires a well and septic inspection by the county, Washtenaw County, for example, does require that. Lenawee County, for example, does not. Release section: brokerage firm is not responsible for the security of the property during this listing contract period. So again, other realtors are going to show the property. We trust that all other realtors are keeping an eye on their clients for security and safety reasons. But again, anything that is valuable should be locked away. Any jewelry should be locked away. Any prescription medication should be locked away, is for your own safety and security as well. Inquiries: seller agrees to refer brokerage firm all inquiries received during our listing contract period. So if you're outside mowing your lawn and someone drives by and says, hey, how much is the house? You can feel free to tell them whatever you're comfortable telling them, but please don't just let someone walk through your house unattended. We don't know if they're pre-approved. We don't know who they are. That's the reason that you hire a real estate company, because we're going to vet these buyers before they tour your property and make sure that they're real people and they're pre-approved and we verify their identity. Additional offers: once seller and buyer agree into a binding sales contract, a brokerage firm shall not present seller any other offers unless you tell us otherwise. So once we go under contract with the buyer, you may want to keep showing if they have a contingency for an inspection or financing, you might want to still keep showing the property for backup offers. If that's the case, then you just need to let us know that that's what you want to do. Most people, when they get an accepted offer, at that point, sometimes they no longer want to show the property to people, so we don't want to show the property anymore after we have an accepted offer. Professional advice: seller acknowledges and understands that brokerage firms, its agents, employees are not acting as appraisers, builders, accountants, engineers, etc. We are licensed real estate licensees, real estate advisors, licensed real estate broker. We are not attorneys. We are not appraisers. We are not tax advisors on what to do with your proceeds, any of that. The FERPTA Act: at closing, seller should provide an affidavit of non-foreign status. So this is the federal immigration something, something, something. I don't recall exactly what they all stand for, but it is a newer thing in the last few years that you just need to confirm that you are a U.S. citizen. Heirs: this agreement shall be binding upon your heirs, personal representatives, administrators. So again, God forbid something happened to you during the course of the contract, that you're not able to complete the sale. This contract would be binding upon any heirs or people that are taking over for you. Or, of course, if we needed to cancel for some reason, we would certainly do that. Non-discrimination, it is agreed by brokerage firm and seller that we do not discriminate based on any of the federally protected classes: religion, race, color, national origin, age, sex, disability, familial status, marital status, sexual orientation, gender identity, or expression by said parties in respect to the sale or release of property. These are prohibited. It is prohibited to discriminate against those parties. Letters of introduction, also called buyer love letters. Occasionally, a buyer will write you a letter with their offer explaining why they're such a great candidate to purchase your home. This happens more frequently when we have multiple offers. This says we will present those letters or will not present these letters. We recommend that you do not read these letters because there may be some things in there that could be considered a fair housing violation. Uh, if people talk about their kids, or they want to raise their family here, or their elderly grandma who's in a wheelchair is going to live with them, all those things. If you do not accept their offer, they can say, "Hey, you didn't accept my offer because my grandma with a wheelchair is going to live with us, and it was in my letter." So we just recommend that you don't read those letters, or ask us to. We won't even show them to you if you don't want us to. Showing the property conflict of interest, just this makes you aware that that we are working with other list home sellers that may have homes similar to yours, and our buyer clients will look at all of our listings, not just your listing. And designated agency section. So as your listing agent, I may have a buyer who wants to buy your home. So we could do a couple of options. Um, if I have a buyer who wants to buy your home, Uh, usually what we do here is section 2 is that we just act as a consensual disclosed dual agent, and then the commission will be changed to a blank X% if I was representing both parties. And of course, we can terminate that relationship with that buyer and send them to another agent within our brokerage if you are not comfortable with me doing, or your designated agent doing, dual agency. That is perfectly fine as well. That we would say, hey, that's great, but we don't want you working with both buyer and seller, so you need to refer that buyer out to someone else within your company. Indemnification, sellers shall indemnify and hold harmless brokerage firm and brokerage firm's agents for any and all liability for any reason as a result of injury to persons, blah, 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 during the showing. So if someone gets hurt, um, that's what your homeowner's insurance is for. It may happen. You never know. But again, it's not our fault as the brokerage firm if someone's walking through your house and gets injured. Representation, seller hereby acknowledges that brokerage firm is relying upon the representations, whether oral or written, made by seller with respect to the property. Again, we're taking your word for it, but the condition of the property is. Seller's disclosure statement, you need to fill it out per Michigan law. There are some reasons that you would be exempt. If it's an estate, for example, you would be exempt, but again, there's a long list of exemptions. But if this is your primary residence, then you are not exempt from this. You would still need to fill a seller's disclosure statement out. And we need to notify people touring your property if your home is under surveillance. If you have cameras, listening devices anywhere, we do need to tell people that before they tour your property. And limitation just says any and all claims or lawsuits between parties should be filed no more than 6 months after the date of the termination of this agreement. And electronic communication, you would just agree that we're going to communicate electronically regarding the sale of your property. We may send documents to electronically sign, and we're all agreeing that those are legal signed documents, and that's how we're going to do it. And merger, that just says there's no outside agreements. This is the entire agreement between us as far as listing your property. We have no side agreements, written or oral. And again, this is the signature page. If there's anything else to add in here, like contingent on you finding another home, something like that, or you must have 45 days after closing to move, you must have 15 days after closing to move, whatever, and any other item that's not mentioned in the above paragraphs could be added in here. And again, cancellation, this agreement can be canceled or revoked only by mutual consent in writing. Again, if you have a real good reason you no longer want to sell your property, that's great. But if you're 3 months into your contract and you say, hey, my coworker wants to buy my property, well, hey, that's again the referral clause above where you need to refer us all inquiries during this listing contract. And this is the signature page. Everyone signs it. And that is really it for the listing contract. If you have any questions regarding the listing contract, get a hold of me or the agent that you're working with on our team, and we'd be happy to help you out. Talk to you soon.